So the NRA just prevented itself from being dissolved despite evidence of greed and self-dealing within the organization. So let's talk about this. But real quick before we jump into this video, if you believe in your right to keep and bear arms, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. I also want to give a shout out to one of the main supporters of this channel, which is USCCA. Through your membership, you get training, education, and self-defense liability protection. So if you carry a firearm, I highly recommend you take a look into USCCA, and I'll put a link to them down in the details section. So I guess in the intro, news broke yesterday that a New York Supreme Court judge has issued a ruling in the New York versus NRA lawsuit. The lawsuit against the NRA sought restitution and other monetary relief from 4 current and former NRA officers, as well as the removal of those individuals from the NRA, removal of their employment, and then also permanent injunctions against them from ever being able to serve on any other organization ever again in New York. However, the lawsuit's boldest claim actually targeted the NRA's organization itself. New York, through the lawsuit, sought to dissolve the NRA and have all of its remaining assets directed to other charitable organizations. So the ultimate goal of this lawsuit is, if the state of New York won, they wanted the NRA to no longer exist. They wanted to get the NRA dissolved. So what are all the issues that led to the state of New York suing the NRA, and what are they trying to use to get the NRA dissolved? Well, the state of New York alleges that Wayne LaPierre routinely abused his authority as executive vice president of the NRA to cause the NRA to improperly incur and reimburse him for expenses that were for his own personal benefit and that violated the NRA policies, including private jet travel that was for purely personal reasons, trips to the Bahamas to vacation on a yacht owned by other members or donors of the NRA, gave a ton of gifts to friends and vendors, lucrative consulting contracts for former and ex-employees and for a bunch of other individuals. And he did a lot of this without actual board approval. So he was using the NRA funds as his own personal funds and was very costly, and he was spending a lot of money. These lavish expenses also include various flights or private jets, which ranged about anywhere from $15,000 per trip to anywhere to $20,000 per trip. Between 2013 and 2017, LaPierre was reimbursed for more than $1.2 million in expenses, including over $65,000 for various Christmas gifts that he gave to individuals. Between 2009 and 2017, LaPierre expensed over $100,000 in membership fees for a golf club in Washington, D.C. And over the last 15 years, LaPierre has allegedly directed the NRA to pay officers, directors, and former employees millions of dollars in consulting agreements without board approval. And he even secured himself a lucrative post-employment contract with the NRA, which obligates the NRA to continue to pay him for many years, despite him no longer being part of the NRA or the organization. And that's actually at a higher rate than he is actually being compensated right now. And beyond just his lavish spending, there's also allegations that Wayne LaPierre got people fired if they ever questioned his spending or tried to address this issue. The state of New York really doesn't care about the NRA. They're just trying to use all these things that Wayne LaPierre and various other individuals have engaged in. They're just trying to use that as a catalyst to get the NRA dissolved. They don't care about the NRA. If they can use these things against the NRA to get them to be dissolved, that is what they're after. Now, obviously, all this did not sit well with the NRA, and they were not just going to let the state of New York just get them dissolved. So they moved to dismiss all these claims against them. And that motion to dismiss was then reviewed by a New York Supreme Court judge who granted some of the motion in favor of the NRA, but then some other claims against them are going to get to proceed. So the New York Supreme Court Judge Joel Cohen stated, held up against these rigorous standards, the New York Attorney General's claim for dissolution of the NRA cannot be sustained. The malfeasance alleged in the complaint, if proven, is undoubtedly troubling, but the Attorney General does not allege that the NRA's mismanagement under LaPierre and others has reduced or tends to reduce injury to the public. The main victim of the NRA's alleged dysfunction has been, according to the complaint, the NRA and its members. The complaint does not allege that the misconduct ascribed to the individual defendants benefited the NRA, or that the NRA exists primarily to carry out such illegal activity, or that the NRA is incapable of continuing its core charitable mission if the individual defendants are removed from their positions. Conflating the individual defendants with the NRA writ large for purposes of dissolution is inappropriate here for the reasons discussed. It also ignores the allegations that the wrongdoers in control of the NRA do not necessarily speak for the NRA members, some of who have tried to instigate reform within the organization, but have been met with resistance from entrenched leadership. The Attorney General insists by statute she is entitled to dissolution of a charitable entity that has violated the law. That is true, but a court may not apply that kind of hair-trigger standard in determining whether dissolution is an appropriate remedy in a given case. Finally, the Attorney General's dissolution claims warrant particularly careful scrutiny because they implicate First Amendment concerns. The NRA is a prominent advocacy organization that represents the interests of millions of members who have stuck with it despite the well-publicized allegations in this and other cases. In other First Amendment contexts, courts have insisted that state regulation of speech be narrowly tailored to serve a significant governmental interest or to be the least restrictive means for serving a compelling government interest. The remedy of dissolution is, in the court's view, disproportionate and not narrowly tailored to address the financial malfeasance alleged in the complaint. So essentially, the judge is saying here that the dissolution of the NRA will not happen primarily because the actions of the individuals were not the NRA's actions itself. It was not the NRA as an organization engaging in this activity. It was individual actions. The fault is therefore on the individuals, and it is those individuals who shall be held accountable. The court also said that the punishment of dissolving the organization is not narrowly tailored, especially in light of one easy solution that is also brought up in the lawsuit by the state of New York, which is to have these individuals fired, removed from their positions, and never allowing them to actually hold these positions ever again, and also making them pay back all this money. That is a much more narrowly tailored remedy that they have available to them and that they are presenting. And that is why the judge dismissed the dissolution cause of action, but let the breach of fiduciary duty action and other things specifically against individuals like Wayne LaPierre and others to continue forward. So in summary, the court dismissed the cause of action by the state of New York, which was seeking to have the NRA dissolved. So that is completely off the table. They cannot get the organization writ large as a whole dissolved like they wanted to. It did, however, allow the actions to hold the individuals accountable to proceed forward. Now, I, like many others, have been very critical of the NRA because it is one of the largest organizations that we have in the US. It has a lot of political clout, a lot of political power. It's one of the only organizations that you hear a lot of the people on the left and the right tout as like the biggest Second Amendment advocacy group. But right now, at this time, in my opinion, again, this is my opinion, I don't believe the NRA is actually representing not only just its members, but just the Second Amendment community at large in the US. I think they are doing a lot of things that just do not represent us. And a lot of that is they're just actually not litigating. They're not advocating for us. And a lot of it has been them just taking all of our money and putting it in their pockets. And that's exactly what we see in these lawsuits. Now, that's not to say that I believe that the NRA should be dissolved. I think that would be a huge blow to the Second Amendment community. I, like many others, just believe that it needs a huge regime change. I think all these individuals at the top who have just been stuffing and filling their pockets need to be removed. And then some new people need to be put in, people who actually care about the Second Amendment, who care more about advocating for our rights than just taking private jets, expensive suits, trips to the Bahamas, all of these things, taking millions and millions of dollars and then doing absolutely nothing. We need people who actually care in there. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Also, if you like this video and like to support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm or fuel Algorit's rhythm. It adds fuel to his jet and it signals to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos and in this type of two-way news. Again, I cannot thank you guys enough for everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, who hits that notification bell, who shares these videos. You guys are directly impacting these videos, impacting this channel, and helping me to reach and educate more people than I could have ever thought. So thank you so much for all of your support. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget to stay with Built Bar Arms Scholars and stay maintain Bar Arms Scholars.